Yo, welcome back to the Big Juicy Wrestling channel. I'm your host, Big Juicy, aka Nate. Today I'm going to be trying to guess who's going to dethrone every single AEW champion, but before I do that, please like this video and subscribe to the channel, and turn on those notifications so you never miss another video. With that being said, let's get on to the guessing. So I got this idea from one of my favorite YouTubers, Mr. Santizap. He does this kind of video but with WWE champions, so I thought I'd do it with AEW champions. We are going to be starting off this video with the AEW Trios champions, currently being held by Pac, Wheeler Yuta, and Claudio Castagnoli. So these championships are in a very weird spot right now, because 1/3 of the champions aren't even a part of the team anymore. So I don't know what they're going to be doing with these titles. I don't know if they're going to be vacating them, if Wheeler Yuta is going to be vacating his side of the title. I really don't know. I really don't know what the plan is with the Trio Championships now that they did turn on Bryan Danielson. But not Wheeler Yuta. Wheeler Yuta's still with Bryan Danielson. Claudio and Pac turned, but it's very confusing. I don't know what they're going to be doing with the Trio Championships. In my opinion, I think they should just end up vacating them. And I think the next champions will be the Learning Tree, Chris Jericho, Big Bill, and Brian Keith. I think they need something to do, and I think they need the Trios champions, because I think they'd be great Trios champions. I really enjoy this team a lot. I think all of them really mesh well together. Chris Jericho. Hi, guys. I absolutely love the Learning Tree. And Big Bill is such a beast. He is such a beast. He's such a unit, like a legit unit. And Brian Keith, in my opinion, is one of the most improved wrestlers of the year. I mean, he went from coming into coming into AEW as a nobody. Like I didn't really know who Brian Keith was when he came to AEW, and now he's like an actual well-known name in AEW. So shout out to Brian Keith. But I do think that the Learning Tree should win the Trios champions. I think they'd be great champions, and I just don't know what AEW is going to be doing with the Trios champions in the future, but I do think that the Learning Tree will become the next champions. The TBS Championship currently being held by Mercedes Moné. This one also doesn't have a clear cut like who I think is going to be the one to take the title off of Mercedes. I think she's going to hold this title for a good bit. She's been a decent champion. I think she's been really good. I'm a big fan of Mercedes Moné. I know I'm in the minority, honestly, when I say that, but I do think she should have lost to Britt Baker at All In, but that's just me. In her match with Hikaru Shida at All Out, I wasn't really a big fan of. But I do think that I'm going to also take a shot in the dark with this. I do think it's going to be Saraya. Now, if you guys don't know the story between Mercedes Moné and Saraya, Mercedes Moné, when she was Sasha Banks in WWE, is the one that took Saraya, aka Paige, out of action for about 3 years. So I think they could really tell a good story with that. And I think Saraya would be the perfect person to be a TBS champion. I know they're both heels. But I mean, Saraya, she can be a babyface if she wanted to. She could switch off. You know what I mean? But I think this feud would be phenomenal. I think it'd be one of the best feuds of the year. I think they could really play into Sasha Banks or Mercedes Moné accidentally hurting Saraya. I feel like they could really play into that storyline. So my prediction here is going to be Saraya. The AEW Tag Team Championships currently being held by the Young Bucks, Nicholas and Matthew Jackson. They've been fine champions, in my opinion. I don't think they've been great, but I also don't think they've been terrible. They just haven't really defended the belts that much. I mean, they've recently started defending it a little bit more. They had the Tag Team Gauntlet match on Wednesday, which Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher won that match, which I wasn't really happy about because they were the only non-tag team in the match. But it's fine. It's going to be a great match nonetheless. But I don't think they're going to win. I do think that Kyle Fletcher is going to be turning on Will Ospreay, so I do not think that they're going to win the tag belts. I do think that the grizzled young vets are going to win the tag belts, Zach Gibson and James Drake. They did have the stare down at All In, And I do think that this feud would be fantastic. I think the matches would be fantastic because these are two of the best tag teams in the world. But I think the Grizzled Young Vets are a perfect team to take the titles off the Young Bucks. And again, the matches would be absolutely fantastic, like match of the year contenders in my opinion. So my prediction for this is the Grizzled Young Vets, James Drake, and Zach Gibson. The AEW Continental Championship currently being held by Kazuchika Okada, and he's been a fine champion as well. I mean, Kazuchika Okada is one of the best in the world. But, I mean, he just hasn't really defended the thing that much. They haven't really had many Continental Championship matches. I really did enjoy the match they had at All Out, the Fatal 4-Way match. And they did just tease a feud on last week's Dynamite with Konosuke Takeshita, and that's who I think is going to beat Kazuchika Okada. I think Konosuke Takeshita is going to take that title off of him, and I think he'd be a fantastic champion. And this feud, I'm so excited for this feud because these are two of my favorite Japanese stars in the world. I think they're two of the best in the world, in my opinion. And these matches are going to be fantastic. I hope they do a trilogy of them. That would be fantastic. I do think that Kazuchika Okada is going to hold the championship up until WrestleDream. I think he's going to lose it at WrestleDream to Konosuke Takeshita. But I'm just super excited for this because you put these two together, they're going to make gold. I mean, they had a quick little like stare down match during the Fatal 4-Way, but not like they've never had a one-on-one match, so I'm very excited about that. But my prediction here is Konosuke Takeshita. The AEW International Championship currently being held by Will Ospreay. This, I don't think he's going to have a super duper long title reign. I think he's going to have a decent title reign because, I mean, the Continental Championship kind of needs a decent title reign right now because it's kind of been playing a little bit of hot potato. But I do think that the person who's going to take this title off of Will Ospreay is going to be Kyle Fletcher. I do think Kyle Fletcher is going to be turning on Will Ospreay, and I think this feud would be fantastic, and I think Kyle Fletcher kind of deserves it because he's been doing phenomenal work now that he's out of Aussie Open, and he's kind of made himself into a single star. He won the Ring of Honor Television Championship recently, and he's just been great. I've been really enjoying Kyle Fletcher, and I think he really deserves this title reign. And I think he deserves to beat someone like Will Ospreay, and then Will Ospreay go on to bigger and better things in the International Championship. So my prediction here is Kyle Fletcher. The TNT Championship currently being held by Jack Perry, the scapegoat. He's been a great champion in my opinion. I feel like I'm the minority when I say that, but Jack Perry's been doing some of the best stuff best work of his career. His heel work's been phenomenal in my opinion. I know a lot of people hate on it because a lot of people hate Jack Perry because of the stuff with CM Punk, but I don't really care about that stuff. I just care that Jack Perry's doing a great job because I've always been a big fan of him ever since he was Jungle Boy. But I think he's going to hold this championship for a good while longer. I do think he's going to end up losing this championship to Daniel Garcia. I've been saying the praises of Daniel Garcia for a while now. I think that he should win a championship in the next year because he's just been doing so good. He's his feud with MJF has been phenomenal. He had a match I think last year with Bryan Danielson that was really good. Truly, he's just been doing some of the best work of his career, and I'm so happy for Daniel Garcia. And I think that he deserves a title. He deserves a title reign, and I think that the TNT Championship should be around his waist. I think that he would be a great TNT champion. I think he fits the mold of a TNT champion, and I think he's perfect to beat Jack Perry for this title. So my prediction here is Daniel Garcia. The AEW Women's Championship currently being held by Mariah May. Mariah May has just won this championship at All In, so her reign has just pretty much begun. So she hasn't really defended the thing yet. She had an eliminator match against Queen Amidala on Dynamite, but again, her reign has just begun, but I do have a very early on prediction on who's going to be the one to dethrone Mariah May, and that is Mina Shirakawa. I think Mariah May calling out Mina on Dynamite, I think they're going to become friends again, and I do think that Mina is going to be turning on Mariah May, or vice versa. I think Mina Shirakawa would be a fantastic AEW Women's Champion. She is fantastic in the ring. Her character works great. Her English is actually pretty good, so she can actually cut a promo. But I think she'd be a fantastic champion. I think the feud would be great. The matches would be great, and I'm very excited for the teaming up of Mariah May and Mina Shirakawa again, because they're very fun together. And they're a very fun tag team. But I do think Mina Shirakawa would be a fantastic champion. So that is my prediction, is Mina Shirakawa becoming the next AEW Women's Champion. And finally, the AEW World Championship, currently being held by Bryan Danielson. I do think Bryan Danielson is going to have a very lengthy reign with this championship. I don't think he's going to be losing it anytime soon, because he does have this stipulation, is if he loses the championship, he will retire. So not only does there have to be a viable person to beat Bryan Danielson for the World Championship, but also a viable person to be the one to retire Bryan Danielson. And because that's a big task to fill, because Bryan Danielson's one of the best of all time. So, in my opinion, I'm actually going to be predicting the next two, I put up 3 there accidentally. The next 2 world champions. So I do think that Darby Allin is going to be the one to beat Bryan Danielson. They kind of been teasing it a little bit, with Moxley being like, Darby, you're not ready for a world championship. You've never been ready for a world championship. And I think Darby Allin is, I think he deserves this. He's paid his dues. I think he deserves this championship win to really give him his flowers, because he's been one of the best, in AEW. He's been one of AEW's OG members. He's been, the amount of crazy spots and the amount of stuff that he's done to put AEW on the map is, insane. So I think that he should win a world championship. But I do think he won't be holding this championship for that long, because I do think that Christian Cage will cash in his little contract on Darby Allin and win the world championship. So I do think that Darby Allin's going to be the one to beat Bryan Danielson, but I do think that shortly after he wins that, Christian Cage will cash in his contract to win the World Championship. So my prediction here is Darby Allin beating Bryan Danielson and Christian Cage beating Darby Allin. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please tune in next Wednesday, where I'll be doing my WrestleMania 8 review. Please remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel. With that being said, I'll catch you in the next video.